Hey guys, this is Thursday's video. Today we're going to talk about research and I'm going to guide you through a couple of principles for research, and then Friday's video will be a continuation of this video. So we looked at this on Wednesday, the outline that I created. Again, the showing parts of your paper or the scene language should be in the introduction, the personal stake section, and the conclusion. So this video will focus mostly on the my team and opposition sections because those are the 2 points or the 2 sections that require the most amount of research. This will be pretty much just from your experience, like the narrative paper, just from your memory, all right? So you'll have the most ethos here, but you need to demonstrate your understanding of the arguments that already exist, that you agree with, and also the opposition that exists out there. As many of you wrote in your writing response 6, it's important to include the opposition and the arguments that exist. The opposition more so you don't present an extremely biased paper that's one-sided, and then you want to present what already exists out there so you're not just repeating the same ideas, that you're offering something new or in addition to what people are saying in the conversation that's on the internet or published in journals, etc. Okay, so let's just think about a topic for a second. Make sure your topics are specific. The free write for Tuesday should help you decide on your topic, and also my feedback to your writing response 7. Definitely I'm trying to guide you toward a specific topic that is not a quote tired topic. I have put up 3 sample papers as of now, and I'm going to put up a 4th one by Friday. So I'm going to choose a topic that there's a really good sample paper about it, but I'm not going to show you the sample paper yet. I'm going to go guide you through how to do research for it, and then we'll look at the completed sample paper that a student wrote for me last semester. So the topic is I want to find out about tattoos in the workplace. So are tattoos considered unprofessional in the workplace? Could be my research question. The student who chose this topic, she had an incident with her tattoos in the workplace, so it really fired her up, and she wanted to do some research about the kind of modern or 2016 views about tattoos in the workplace. The one thing that, looking back now, I wish I would have recommended to the student is what type of workplace. So what type of professional environment. Obviously, if you're at a tattoo parlor, it's going to be very different than if you are a CEO or like a healthcare professional. So that would be one area I wish that the student had narrowed down a little bit more. I should have guided her a little bit better with that. So be specific as possible, because when you start researching, if you have too broad of a topic, you're going to get overwhelmed pretty easily. And we're going to enter research right now, so I can give you a few examples of where to go and also how that research might be overwhelming. So for this paper, I recommend you go to Google Scholar. And again, how I got here is I literally Googled Google Scholar, and that brought it up here. It has articles, is already marked here. And then the second place is, let's go to the library homepage. You've already been here before, so this should look familiar. The thing that you will want to click here is articles. So books it's going to be too much for you to sift through in the next 2 weeks. Databases, there's not going to be as much on Project Muse and JSTOR for this paper because it's less of a humanities driven paper. So just stick to articles and you guys will have a lot of things that pop up. So I went ahead and I typed in tattoos in the workplace here, okay, and that brought up this search. So once you hit enter, it'll bring up this search, and this is a pretty general search, all right. So I look down here, and also you want to make sure it's in English. Most of them will be. And then right here, if it is peer-reviewed, you're going to see a marker that says peer-reviewed. Peer-reviewed just basically means it's been, quote, approved of in the peer environment. That is basically like all of the academics in that environment have approved of this article. So it looks like not many of these are peer-reviewed, but we might still find some interesting stuff. So I'm looking at titles here, which is another reason why titles are so important for your papers. Tattoos in the workplace. Is it fair to ban tattoos in the workplace? So this is kind of like my research question. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And the reason why I'm clicking on this and showing you step by step is because sometimes these articles are hard to find access to. So this one is a little bit more difficult, so I'm going to kind of guide you through it. Notice here it's the British Library serial, so if you are focusing only on like American views, then you might just keep that in mind. Again, the more specific your topic is, the better. So get this article. It says People Management Business Source Premier, or this master file premiere. So I just click on the first one and see if it will let me access this text. So now it's basically guided me to the publication records for all this whole entire journal. So what you want to do here, if you have like all of these titles, all the issues, is you need to find which issue specifically this is. So it has 2014 October. It's on pages 16 and 17. Okay, and that is pretty standard for anything in parentheses going to be your year, has a month, and then after the colon is always the page numbers. Okay, so 2014. I'll go ahead and expand that. October 2014, even better. And then I noticed it was on pages 16 and 17. Hopefully they go in order. Pages 5 and 5, 6, 6, 7. Okay, they go in order. So I'm going to go all the way down and try to find 16, 17. Boom, right here. So go ahead and click on this. Hopefully it comes up. And we want the full PDF text right here. And here it is. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. I actually already had it brought up to make sure it would work. And it's only 3 pages, as you can see here. So what I would recommend when you start doing research is do a preliminary search. So by the end of this week, you should have maybe 2 sources. That's a good amount since it's a minimum of 4 to 6. Again, this is very rushed. It's a summer class. You only have 2 weeks for this research paper, but you should be doing a little bit of work each day, and you do have a week for revision. So keep all these things in mind. What I'm going to do now, after my quote preliminary research, which I would take more time to do that, is I would say, okay, what do I need to find out? So I need to find out who already kind of agrees with me, what my view is, and what the opposition is. So this student, she already had her mind made up when she entered the paper, which again, I recommended you enter with a research question. But if you already want to argue a point, that's fine as well. You just have to make sure it's a well-supported point and your paper is not completely biased. So she said that for her situation, the tattoos that she had should not have been, basically her employer should not have cared about her tattoos. And she was not like a healthcare professional. This is an incoming freshman college student. So that would be her personal stake, would be a scene from that, maybe a conversation with her boss, or if she got fired or anything, that would be the personal stake here to try to persuade your audience. So if you go with that view, then you would want to find people who are on your side for this section here. So someone who would agree that people should not and cannot be discriminated against based on their tattoos, or like it, if there's a compromise with the employer and the employee, whether you should cover the tattoos or not, that might be an arrangement as well. So basically you're seeing what systems are in play for whatever your topic is, and you're adding to them. You're adding, it's kind of like a philosophy paper in that way, where you're seeing what exists, what opposition exists, and you're adding to the solution. All right. So in your research, you might look at who agrees with you first, and then you might look at who opposes you. For this specific issue, since I've already done some research, I know that most people are actually fighting for tattoos in the workplace. They call it body art at this point, and it's actually a constitutional violation in many settings, but there are some loopholes. So the opposition would be where I would account for those loopholes. So let's go ahead and just take a look at this article, and I have a couple other things pulled up. It's only 2 pages. What I'm basically doing is I'm looking for credibility. First off, you want to make sure that this isn't someone's like personal blog who just rants about tattoos. Also, you want to make sure that it has a clear view. So it doesn't just pose a question, it actually has a side. Because if you're going to use it on my team or the opposition, it needs to have some sort of opinion, just like your papers in the end. So, and then the last thing that you can look for is quotes that have specific language, strong language, and that you can represent well in your paper. So I want to know a little bit about the bias against tattoos in the workplace, if there is one. And a couple of these here. In 2012, staff at music retailer HMV were told to cover any expensive body art, and Metropolitan Police officers have been forbidden from getting a prominent tattoo. So that definitely right here would be discrimination in the workplace. But again, we have to keep in mind what these workplaces are. So I might even take this quote. I would copy it straight from there because I'm going to direct quote it. And then in my paper, I'll put it here. If you're taking it from a PDF file, it's going to mess with the formatting. So just be aware of that and fix the formatting. Immediately, I'm putting quotes around it to tell myself that these are not my words. Help me not to plagiarize. And then I need to go find my citation. So here it actually, I think, has a citation like maker. Let's see. And keep in mind, we are using the 8th edition, so some of these will not be up to date, and it's your job to make them up to date. Okay, I don't really see one, so what I'll have to do then is go get the information, copyrighted people management, Okay, and then we have our author's name, or maybe not, maybe it's just a people management article, and again, this is a British publication. Okay, so right now what I would do is I would bookmark this page to make sure I know where to go back. And a lot of times when I'm doing my own research and it's just preliminary, I will do something like this. People management would be the magazine cover. If there is not a specific author or editor, then we put the title of the article. So is it fair to ban tattoos at work? So as a note to myself, I would just put, is it fair? And then down here, your works cited entry will go in here, but you've already bookmarked the page, so you might save that for later. All right, so like the other video that I've created, the 3 steps to source integration, you shouldn't just have a quote at the beginning of a sentence. So according to, then we go get our information, according to People Management, or a 2014 issue of People Management, in and then we have our quote. So here, this would obviously be in the opposition section where people are opposing or talking about the basically discrimination against certain officials or whatever in the in the workplace. Sorry. So save that for this section here. And on Friday's video, we're going to pick up where we left off, and I'm going to keep talking about research, as I know it's kind of a dense, difficult thing to wrap your head around. So stick around for Friday's video.